Arirang News. Ahead of the country's Chuseok holiday, the Health Ministry came up with a set of measures to tackle possible emergency care disruption amid the prolonged medical dispute. Deploying military and public doctors to hospital ER has been included. The 22nd National Assembly had a belated opening ceremony on Monday, where lawmakers vowed to work for people's livelihoods. In Israel, tens of thousands of furious people against Netanyahu took to the streets, urging him to secure a ceasefire for hostages deal. Protests come after the news that 6 captives have been found killed in Gaza. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. We start our coverage with new emergency care measures unveiled today ahead of the Chuseok holiday. The government plans to deploy more military doctors as public concerns grow due to the prolonged walkout by trainee doctors. Choi Min-jung explains.
Around 6 months since the mass resignation of resident doctors, public concern is mounting over the country's emergency care system. With the lack of personnel in emergency units, the government has decided to deploy military doctors to fill the gaps.
We'll deploy replacement personnel, including military doctors and public health doctors, as soon as possible.
On Wednesday, a total of 15 military doctors will be deployed to medical institutions with limited emergency care. Starting next Monday, approximately 235 military and public health doctors will be dispatched to high-risk institutions. The government also laid out measures to prevent a potential medical crisis during the upcoming Chuseok holiday in the 3rd week of September. This comes as the medical community warns that more university hospitals will close emergency rooms during the holiday, while the number of patients is bound to increase.
We'll operate emergency response weeks for approximately 2 weeks, from September 11th to 25th, and make every effort to minimize disruption in treating severe emergency patients.
The lack of personnel has caused university hospitals to suspend the running of emergency rooms during the night and on holidays, causing concern that people will not receive proper emergency treatment. According to the Health Ministry, however, 99% of the emergency rooms are still operating 24 hours a day, while around 6% are operating with a reduced number of beds. The total number of doctors working in emergency rooms is a little over 74% of the average. Monday's briefing was the government's first daily briefing held to provide the public with up-to-date details on emergency care. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
The top office has disclosed details of a comprehensive action plan aimed at maintaining cybersecurity in the wake of ever-evolving threats from North Korea. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young explains.
South Korea will take a preemptive and offensive response to fast-evolving cyber threats, from hacking and cryptocurrency theft to deepfakes and disinformation spread by malicious actors, namely North Korea. National Security Advisor Shin Won-sik unveiled on Sunday the Yoon Suk-yeol administration's National Cybersecurity Basic Plan, a whole-of-government effort to tackle virtual threats to South Korea's national security, financial institutions, public infrastructure and social stability.
The government will strengthen the Republic of Korea's cybersecurity capabilities, providing a safe cyberspace for citizens and businesses, and strive to become a global pivotal state that fulfills its roles and responsibilities in the international community.
Given the increasingly sophisticated and widespread nature of cybersecurity threats, a total of 14 government ministries and agencies will work on 100 cybersecurity tasks, with the National Security Council acting as the control tower. For instance, the Unification Ministry and the National Police Agency will jointly counter and eradicate North Korea's influence operations, which are aimed at stirring social division through fake news, propaganda and other such tactics. The Defense Ministry will reinforce cyber operation capabilities and work with the Science Ministry to cultivate military cyber specialists. Meanwhile, the Korea Communications Commission will establish standards on tackling disinformation. The Basic Plan prevents follow-up measures to the government's National Cybersecurity Strategy released in February, which comprises of 5 main points. First, Seoul will step up cyber defense activities. and establish the basis for responding to influence operations. Second, it will aim to strengthen cooperation with other liberal democracies to create a safe and secure cyberspace worldwide. The government will also strengthen cyber resilience by safeguarding critical national infrastructure as well as information and communication platforms widely used by members of the public. It also seeks to boost investment in research and development to grow a competitive edge in critical and emerging technologies and forge cooperation between individuals, firms and government to bolster operation capabilities across a range of sectors. According to the National Intelligence Service, South Korea's public institutions last year were hit with around 1.62 million cyber attacks per day, with 80% of those cases originating from North Korea. The cash poor regime has also stolen over $3 billion of cryptocurrency since 2017, with half of that invested in nuclear and missile development, according to experts. Going forward, Seoul hopes to enact a basic cybersecurity law which would enable domestic intelligence and investigative agencies to respond to international and state-backed hacking groups. Seong, Arirang News.
Police have begun a preliminary investigation into Telegram as deepfake online sexual crimes have become a serious social problem here. Choi Soo-young reports.
South Korean police have started an investigation into Telegram, the social network messaging application company, accusing it of aiding deepfake sex crimes. This is the first time the authorities have begun investigating Telegram itself. During a briefing on Monday, the National Police Agency said it was difficult to get information such as suspects' accounts and other material from Telegram. However, it stated that it is doing its best and has managed to catch some suspects who use Telegram. Additionally, the NPA said it is closely cooperating with the French authorities who started an investigation earlier to find ways to establish a joint operation. On August 24th, French police arrested Telegram's founder Pavel Durov in Paris on charges of facilitating and conspiring in online sex crimes and drug distribution. Back in March, when the French government was investigating child sexual abuse content, it had asked Telegram to identify the suspects, but received no response, leading it to issue an arrest warrant for Durov. As international concerns over such crimes on Telegram grow, the South Korean government also started a thorough investigation. Police reported that they have received 88 reports and identified 24 suspects from August 26th to 29th. They are also investigating 8 Telegram programs that automatically create illegal deepfake sex videos and plan to look into group chat rooms where the videos are being spread. The government has warned that it will continue to take strong action against deepfake sex crimes committed on Telegram. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
In other news, the opening of the 22nd National Assembly was officially celebrated on Monday, which has been long overdue. Lawmakers vowed to fulfill their duties for the people. Our National Assembly correspondent Lee Si-woo walks us through what's to come next.
On Monday, the 22nd National Assembly officially celebrated its opening, over 3 months into its term, and 300 lawmakers were finally sworn in.
국회의원의 직무를 양심에 따라 성실히 수행할 것을 국민 앞에 엄숙히 선서합니다.
Speaker Woo Won-sik delivered celebratory remarks and said he hoped the event would serve as an opportunity for representatives to reflect on the past 3 months and also recollect their determination in working for the people.
National Assembly will do all it can to achieve its mission to protect the people and move forward into the future.
Woo vowed that rival lawmakers would work together to tackle immediate pending issues, such as surging deepfake sexual exploitation cases and the worsening of extreme weather conditions. In the long term, the Assembly will work to alleviate population issues amid the low birth rate and aging society. The ceremony was initially scheduled for early July, but was postponed amid bickering between the rival parties over pending issues. Monday's event marks the longest wait for an opening ceremony since a constitutional amendment in 1987 that consolidated democracy in the country. Meanwhile, President Yoon Suk-yeol did not attend the ceremony, as according to an official at the presidential office, he awaits the normalization of parliament, where opposition lawmakers have been unilaterally pushing for certain bills, calling for a special prosecutor and the impeachment of nominated officials. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, along with other key members of the cabinet, attended the ceremony. Also invited were people from all walks of life, including small business owners, scientists, firefighters, medical workers, and the descendants of ethnic Koreans who resided in former Soviet Union states in Central Asia. Monday also marked the beginning of the Assembly's first 100-day regular session. Coming up first in this are speeches by rival bloc leaders, questioning of government officials, and further potential bipartisan negotiations on livelihood bills, as the lawmakers prepare for an inspection of government ministries and departments next month. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
Staying on political news, the heads of the ruling and opposition parties met over the weekend for their first formal interaction and agreed on broad measures to support people's livelihoods. Our correspondent Shin Ha-young has the details.
The leaders of the rival parties took the first step to breaking a long-standing deadlock between the two parties. On Sunday, the leader of the ruling People Power Party, Han Dong-un, and his counterpart from the main opposition Democratic Party, Lee Jae-myung, held their first official talks at the National Assembly, with each party's top policymaker and spokesperson present. According to the spokespersons of the two parties, the two leaders have decided to set up a joint consultative body to address issues related to people's livelihoods, where both parties have a consensus. The joint statement also included measures to address the dispute related to medical reform.
The leaders decided to urge the government to strengthen emergency care during the Chuseok holiday and agreed to discuss measures at the parliamentary level.
Both sides agreed to boost support for semiconductors, AI, and to ease the debt burden on small businesses and households. The two sides will also swiftly push for a legislative process to extend parental leave for working parents, as well as increase penalties and improve prevention measures for deepfake sex crimes. However, the party leaders failed to find common ground on controversial issues such as providing relief vouchers to the entire population and starting a special prosecution probe into the death of a Marine during last year's flood rescue operations.
The DP sees cash handouts as a measure for people's livelihood, but taxpayer money is limited. We prefer to provide tailored welfare based on individual needs rather than giving everyone the same benefits.
Since this is an economic and fiscal policy rather than a welfare policy, there's no need to disadvantage higher taxpayers. If we can't offer extra help, we should at least ensure fair support for everyone.
They also failed to reach an agreement on abolishing financial investment income tax, but agreed to discuss ways to tackle structural issues in the stock market. Although a major breakthrough wasn't achieved, both parties believe that the first meeting was still valuable for confirming each other's views.
In terms of people's livelihood and economy, the meeting was significant as it may help guide future legislation. The leaders emphasized the need for more frequent discussions.
It was the first time in 11 years that leaders of the rival parties held official talks, and attention is now on whether this will lead to sustained cooperation between the two parties. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol highlighted South Korea's role in advancing the world's transition to green energy as he held talks with Pati Birol, executive director of the International Energy Agency. Yoon's office said Monday that the South Korean leader met Birol, who's in the country to attend the Global Climate Industry Expo, co-hosted by the Korean government and the IEA. Yoon welcomed the director, expressing his gratitude for the IEA's support for Seoul's carbon-free energy initiative, which aims to accelerate the achievement of carbon neutrality by using nuclear power, hydrogen, and renewable energy. Birol commended Korea for its exemplary leadership in enhancing energy security while also achieving climate goals, as well as its achievements in constructing nuclear reactors on time and within budget, adding that it leads innovative technologies such as small modular reactors.
The global sales performances of South Korea's 5 automakers dropped for 4 consecutive months in August due to the sluggish domestic market and fewer working days. The domestic and overseas sales of Hyundai Motor, Kia, GM Korea, Renault Korea, and KG Mobility fell by 5.9% on year to 639,630 units. Overseas sales dropped 6.8% to around 533,000 units. Despite a decline in overall sales, Hyundai and Kia posted strong performances in the domestic electric vehicle market. Both companies recorded the highest monthly sales for EVs this year, with Hyundai over 3,600 units and Kia over 5,600. Online shopping transactions in South Korea saw its lowest year-on-year increase in July since 2017, according to Statistics Korea on Monday. The agency said this was mainly due to withered consumer sentiment caused by the payment delay crisis at major e-commerce platforms during the month. The total value of online shopping recorded just under $15 billion in July, up 5.4% year-on-year. Increases in the sales of food and beverages, food delivery services, and daily necessities mainly contributed to the rise. However, transactions for online coupons particularly saw a big drop of over 30% compared to 2023. South Korea's electricity demand reached a new high in August amid the prolonged extreme summer heat. According to Korea Power Exchange on Monday, peak power demand nationwide rose a little over 6% from the previous year to average a daily record of 87.8 gigawatts last month. It was mostly due to the prolonged heat that persisted throughout the month, leading to higher air conditioner use. The heat wave, or days when temperatures reached a daily high of 33 degrees or more, continued for 16 days in August, the second longest on record, according to the Korean Meteorological Administration. In Israel, thousands of demonstrators took to the streets on Sunday, demanding a deal for the release of all remaining hostages held by Hamas, following news of 6 more hostage killings. Yoon has more.
Israel's military recovered the bodies of 6 people in an underground tunnel in the southern Gaza city of Rafah over the weekend, all of them confirmed as being hostages held captive by Hamas. 5 of the 6, including 1 Israeli American, were taken during the music festival on October 7th. Israel's health ministry says autopsies show that they were killed by being shot at close range between 48 and 72 hours before being found. The deaths sparked a massive protest in major cities in Israel. Tens of thousands of Israelis poured onto the streets, demanding that leader Benjamin Netanyahu reach a ceasefire deal to bring the remaining hostages back home. The head of Israel's largest labor union also called for a general strike on Monday, demanding that Netanyahu secure the return of hostages. The union wants to shut down or disrupt major sectors of the Israeli economy, including banking, healthcare, and the country's main airport. Thousands of others also gathered outside of the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem, while the families and relatives of hostages marched with symbolic coffins. Senior Hamas officials said that Israel's refusal to sign a ceasefire agreement to end the 11 months of war was to blame for the deaths. But Prime Minister Netanyahu shifted the blame on Hamas, saying Hamas has refused to agree to any deals since December and rejected a number of U.S.-led deals this year. Netanyahu also vowed that the Israeli government would continue to pursue negotiations to get all the hostages back home, and also vowed revenge for the deaths of the 6 hostages. As of Sunday, 101 hostages are known to remain captive in Gaza, with 97 of those having been abducted on October 7th. Meanwhile, American leaders expressed their frustration and anger Sunday morning over the deaths of the 6 Israeli hostages, including Israeli-American Hirsch Goldberg Polin, offering condolences and support to Hirsch's families. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, in an official statement, condemned Hamas for what she described as continued brutality. But Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump took to his social media platform Truth Social to slam Harris, saying that the hostage crisis in Israel is only taking place because Harris is weak and ineffective, adding that the October 7th attacks on Israel would have never happened under a Trump administration. 이은진, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, intense fighting continues between Ukraine and Russia, with the latter reportedly targeting civilian facilities in the city of Kharkiv and the former industrial sites in the wider Moscow region. Yoon has the latest.
Rescue teams in Ukraine pulled a man from the rubble after Russian missiles hit a shopping mall and entertainment complex around noon on Sunday. The attack in Ukraine's northeastern city of Kharkiv left at least 47 people injured, including 5 children.
The targets were ordinary civilian structures, a shopping mall, a sports palace, and residential buildings.
This attack follows Russian officials on the same day reporting damage to industrial sites by a Ukrainian drone attack on several areas, including Moscow. Authorities said that Ukraine's drones struck a major power station and an oil refinery, causing fires. Russian officials described this as one of the largest drone attacks by Kyiv since the war began, claiming they intercepted over 150 drones overnight. Kyiv is yet to comment on the drone attacks. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky once again appealed to his allies for permission to use Western-supplied missiles farther inside Russian territory.
And this depends on President Biden, on Prime Minister Starmer, on President Macron, Chancellor Scholz, and others. I thank all those who keep convincing the world to be strong and to finally vanquish Russian terror.
This comes about a week after Russia conducted its most intense airstrike on Ukraine, which targeted energy facilities and other sites. 이은희, Arirang News.
At the Paralympics over in Paris, badminton players Chung Jae-gun and Yoo Soo-young won silver in the men's doubles after a final match against their Chinese counterparts, who had also taken the title at the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics. Both Chung and Yoo may bring home more medals as they are set to compete in bronze medal matches in their singles events. In Bocha, Chung So-young claimed silver in the BC2 women's individual final match as her Portuguese counterpart took gold. This is Chung's first medal in 12 years, and now she seeks gold in the team event starting Tuesday. Staying with sports, golfer Ryu Hae-ran won the LPGA FM Championship at TPC Boston in Norton, Massachusetts this past Sunday, sealing her second career playoff victory. Ryu overcame a 4-stroke deficit at the start of the final round, shooting a 64 with 9 birdies against 1 bogey to set up the playoff before beating fellow South Korean Ko Jin-young with a par on the first hole of the playoff. Taking home the $570,000 prize money, Ryu became only the second South Korean player to win on the LPGA Tour this year, joining Amy Young, who won the KPMG Women's PGA Championship in June. Ryu was the LPGA Rookie of the Year in 2023.
With rain falling throughout the country today, it felt cool with temperatures below 30 degrees Celsius during the daytime. Light rain will fall in the central parts until tonight, and in the southern parts of the country, it will continue until tomorrow afternoon. Even though there are many places where the heatwave warnings were lifted over the weekend, heatwave advisories are still in place in Jeollanam-do Province, southern parts of Gangwon-do Province, and Jeju Island. After rain in the central parts of the country stops overnight, it is expected to rise to around 30 degrees again from tomorrow. Tomorrow morning in Seoul, the temperature will be as cool as 22 degrees Celsius. Highs will move up to 31 in Daejeon and Gwangju. There's more rain forecast in the Seoul metropolitan area and western parts of Gangwon-do Province on Thursday and eastern parts of Gangwon-do Province on Friday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Arirang News will be back at 9 a.m. Korea time.
요즘 한국에선 어떻게 노는지 알려줄까?
한국에선 아이돌이 되어볼 수도 인생 번호를 찾을 수도 있지. 제일 핫한 포토스팟은 여기. 한국은 분명 너에게 새로운 영감을 줄 거야.